us who is the Paulette?
Okay, so majina ya kitambulisho, my ID names are Paulette Akalomba Isindu. I am a daughter, I am a nurse, I am a mom, a wife, podcaster, YouTuber, businesswoman, and I'm passionate about talking about everything abroad, making sure that everyone around me knows that there are opportunities out there. Apart from that, proudest thing to my name is a mom, so anything mom abroad, I'll be able to give you the gist about it. I think that's it.
It's quite an introduction, isn't it?
I've tried my best. Not to blow my own trumpet, but trying.
Yeah, I love your work. I've been following you on TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah, I think your content is very informative.
Thank you. TikTok is an interesting place. I think it's a place that you can say anything at any time, and you don't have to look the part. You can just give people information. I love that place. I prefer it to so many other places.
Say toxic. People say Twitter is very toxic.
Huko huwezi nipata tueleze, huwezi nipata sister. They work. I was like, nah, not for me. Life is too serious. I want somewhere where I can go and see people dancing in between serious videos, and that's for me. So when I joined, I was like, this is a good opportunity. I can use this opportunity to let people know about what's happening in here without looking the part, which is nice.
All right, so let's get to the let's dive straight into the discussion of today. Yeah, so at first I want you to tell us at what point did you decide to venture abroad, and what made you realize you needed to go abroad? When did you decide to leave Kenya?
Honestly, I'm one of those people who knew from the start, like Kitambo, I was one of those people who used to say, but then me, I'm not with you guys. Me, I'm not for this local thing. I'm an international person. It started out as a joke, but then my dad got a job out of the country, and I could see what he could do with it. So I was like, maybe I should venture into this thing quite seriously. So I landed into nursing by proxy. Like, this girl has passed, what can you do? I didn't have any preference at that point, so they were like, you just do nursing. You can't miss a job in Kenya without nursing. It's just coincidental that by the time I was finishing my degree and I had my license, I'd worked for a few years. COVID thing happened, and Europe was calling for nurses all over the place. I was like, oh, this is my opportunity. So I took it up. And I can say so far so good. I can say I made the right choice. So far so good. So that is what, in a nutshell, just led me to sort of think about moving towards out of the country. Yeah.
Is it a decision that you feel like you made the right decision, or?
At first I was like, this is not what they sold to me, seriously. Me, I'm out here thinking I'm going to meet Akira Sherlock Holmes, and I don't know who. When I come to the ground is different, let me tell you. On ground, But after settling down, just like everyone else who moves out of their home, it's not even out of the country. Once you move out of your home, you have some time to readjust, to replan. And I can say right now, looking at the Kenyan shilling, I think I made the right choice, because Zakayo is doing the most.
You're looking at the situation back at home and you feel like you made the right decision.
Zakayo is doing it. Zakayo is mkate mti jamani, mtu ashuke.
Uko nasikia wakisema kimeturamba.
Ya mtu maramba. Lakini I'm not happy. The Kenyan shilling is not doing well. I'm really concerned, but true. I can say I did make the right choice.
It's actually trading at 141 shillings. That's the dollar.
That's the dollar.
Yeah.
Wow. Is that the highest? Might be. Oh, it used to be in 50s, but that's the highest so far.
I think that's the highest it has ever gone. I don't think we have ever been there, because traditionally we used to think a dollar is 100 bob. As in, hata sasa ukiambia mtu you earn $20, we'll assume it's 2,000 bob.
Yeah, actually, even now when you're trying to do your calculation in USD, you usually do it divide by 100 or multiply by 100. It's so weird when doing it in 140s. Even for the pound, it's 185. Never had before.
But for Kenyans,
1 pound, it's 185 shillings. How? Why?
But for Kenyans who are earning in dollars, they are very happy. Kenyans
There's
want
always a bittersweet to every story. There's always a bittersweet. So if you
Kenyans
have the dollar, I'm sure you're like,
Kenyans
yeah.
wants Kenyans who earn in dollars. Wakiuliza they would say it go to 150.
Yeah, I can. Okay, it's not a lot of population, but there are people who are definitely going to gain. That's the problem about all these things. People are going to gain, and majority of the people usually lose. So bittersweet.
Yeah. So how was life at first? Like, what was your first impression when you got to the UK? That is.
First impression is it's very clean, it's very nice. The people are very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Then reality struck because we came in during the COVID period, and you know, there's that excitement when you go to the airport, like, hey, I'm going to a Jew, you know. Then you land and you start asking yourself, like, okay, I've come to a land, I don't know anyone.
Mm-hmm.
What am I even doing here? If I need to go somewhere, there's no duty, there's no tuk. When I'm sick, no one is going to bring me Uji. I'm just on my own. Like, what was I even thinking?
What city did you?
And then you come in with your Kenyan shillings.
What?
And then you come in with the Kenyan shillings, then you realize how expensive the place is. When you convert it, it's like you've just come with 1,000 for max. Yet you look like a millionaire, but when you convert it, you're like, wow.
Which city was
Cost
that?
of living, the rent, everything. I started living in Liverpool.
Mhm.
Lived there for about 8 months, but right now I'm living in the West Midlands, small town called Shrewsbury.
Mhm.
Like, you know, Kenya, we can call it Shrewsbury. That's what I'm saying now.
Tell us
So
about.
first it was a shock, but now I've adjusted, kidogo.
Tell us about the culture shock.
Where do I even start from? Yani, just the first culture shock
Mhm.
was shopping. We are so used to physical shopping, and when you go there, you do your shopping. There are people who are doing the clicking thing for you.
Mhm.
So we were 3 of us, and when we went to do our shopping, we had a lot of bags.
Mhm.
We put them there and expected someone to do the shopping for us. I
Mhm.
mean, to do the scanning and putting in the bag. So everyone was looking at us like, wow, our shamba betoka. Apparently, we're the ones who did it. Second thing is how people are sort of polite. It's not like at home when um, you kind of are a little bit loud and everything, but here people are a little bit polite, I would say.
Mhm.
Third thing is the expense, as I had mentioned before. Expense in Europe is not a joke. The rent can be as expensive as 100,000 when you're living in a small, single, jail-like room, and you literally have to work your ass off to make ends meet.
100,000 back at home. You are living in Karen.
And it is true with your 3-bedroom, what I even say. You're over there with Langat with them boys. Hey. Yeah, with 100,000, I don't even think you can live anywhere nice in a nice house or something. You have to be in a house.
Mhm.
Or if you're paying that much, you must be deep in the village somewhere. So, culture shocks are so many. Like getting into the bus straight from the airport, taken by the taxi. The next time you're looking for a bus, you have to use the Google Maps. At home, I don't need a Google Map. They can do this. They are tuk-tuks. I've got a Uber. I can drive.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, it was extreme culture shock. And you might think just because you've done a little bit of research,
Mhm.
you might be mentally prepared for it. Where you come over here and you realize you're just a kamshamba and you have to take it a day at a time. But all east or west home is best. That's all I can say. East or west. Doesn't matter the cultures and stuff. East or west. Home is the best.
And so someone might ask, like, what's the difference? What's the deviance between the cost of living there and here? Like
Sorry, repeat that again.
the cost of living in the UK.
Mm.
Is it high?
Oh, the cost of living.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, especially, it's very high.
Mm-hmm.
As I mentioned, the rent and stuff is extremely expensive. Now, the good thing about it is at least you're earning it in pounds and dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, you've got jobs. Number 3, you can do extra shifts. Number 4, you can do like online businesses and stuff because this place has a very high potential doing online stuff, drop shipping, Amazon, eBay, all those things. You can do it. You can even open a shop online. You can do all those things. even if it's high, there are opportunities to make money for you to sort that out. It's not like at home, you can see like the prices of things are increasing, but your job is the same. You can't just wake up and decide to go to McDonald's and start doing an extra job so that at least your money can level up with the increase in prices and stuff. So I would say yes, it's high, but it's manageable as long as extra coin. Compared it to home, Nairobi is still a little bit lower, definitely. I can compare it to some towns like the one I'm living in. I would say it's slightly like Nairobi, but when you start going towards the major towns, especially towards the south, where London is, Oxford, London, when you're going, the lower you go here, the more it becomes. So I was living in Liverpool. It's relatively cheap because it's a city at the very top north of the country. It's at the top. And the expenses were not that much. People can afford amenities, you can afford rent, you can afford driving, but sorry, when you decide to live in London and the rest of the places in the south, it's gonna be very expensive for you. But you got to come up with a plan just to make sure you get above it.
All right. The big question that people ask, and especially back here, is we get so many stories of racism and discrimination and stuff. Like, what is it really that rampant? As in, how is it, and how do you deal with it?
So there's something called subtle racism. That's what I was told before I came here. Like, the racism here is quite subtle. So it's not like the ones you see in a country I would mention, that people are just walking and then someone is shot, or the police are there with a black people. No, you can't find that here. It's sort of illegal. But you might find the small things, like in the bus, no one sits next to you. Someone might be very rude to you at the workplace. All the problems are pointed towards you. It's just the subtle things. And then the kind of language they speak, the English that they have, is sort of sarcastic and stuff. So some things might really, itakupita too. And then when you're sitting by the corner, you're like, did that guy literally do that to me? But it's very subtle, very subtle. You won't feel the need of insecurity or there's a lot of racism around me. No. I can say since I came here, the ones that I have personally experienced are small things. I'm African at the end of the day, so these things don't really bother me.
You've
but
seen
I wouldn't
worse.
say it's as much of that. Yeah, I've seen worse. I've seen colorism. I'm a dark skin, so I've seen even worse at home. So some of these things, they are very minute. Like, you get into a bus and the driver doesn't speak to you but speaks to the rest of the people. You're working and your co-workers don't speak to you but they speak to the rest of the people. It's just little things. Some patients say they don't want to be served by black nurses, and for me, I don't take that at heart. I'm actually happy. I take it to the next person and I continue with my work. At least I have one less thing to do during the day. So just the small things. I wouldn't really say that it's as terrible as people make it to seem. But that's just my experience. I won't take away from other people who have experienced worse. But I would say out of all the people, out of all my friends, I don't think there's anyone who has experienced extreme forms of racism. No, not really.
And we had cases of knife violence, especially in London. There were cases where people used to say that it's very insecure, especially to walk in the streets of London and the UK. Have you experienced that?
Yes.
Knife violence?
Personally, no. I have gone to Birmingham, London, I've gone to all those cities. I haven't seen it with my own eyes. But just as some other countries have gun violence, the most rampant thing here is knife violence. And this happens between gangs. So you'll find if you live in some certain cities where those gangs are quite many, you might end up being in the middle of it. Some parts of London, yes, are insecure. Some parts of Birmingham, some parts of Liverpool are insecure. Just like at home, you can't just be walking around some areas and you don't expect someone to snatch your phone. But there are many people who are living in London. You just have to know which parts you have to avoid, where the gangs are very many, and just make sure that you live in a safe place. You can always avoid those places that have such kind of incidences. So yes, there's some sort of insecurity, especially in London with the gangs and the knives. But so far, I haven't experienced it. I haven't had any of my friends living in London experience it, so I wouldn't have first-hand information on that. Just the news that I watch and stuff.
So this is the big question, and the question that many people who are listening to and are watching would really want to know. So I want you to give us like a dummy's guide, an A to Z of somebody who is in Kenya right now and they want to go abroad. Wanasikia Kenya imewachokesha. That is as a professional, we will look at the ones who are professionals like you and us, and there's also those who are not qualified for anything. They are ready to do any manual work. So let's start with, as a professional, like, how do you start? What is the process, and how is the process like?
Okay, so I'll just start with the nursing part because that's what I have more experience with. So first things first, you need to have your license ready, and you need to have passed your exams, and you need to have your nursing certificate from the nursing council. So you have to get that first. Second thing, good thing with the UK, they don't need people who have extreme experience. You can apply to come to the UK immediately after getting your license and immediately after coming out of either university or MTC or whichever. You have to have at least a diploma or a degree and above. Then the next thing is you need to do an English exam called the IELTS exam. You can either train yourself online, use YouTube, or you can pay people to help you train for it. And you need to have at least, to be safe, band 7 on the 4 papers on the IELTS exam. Then you need to do your nursing council verification. So you need to take all the documents that you have, your nursing certificate, license, sometimes the transcripts, and everything that you have that is on the nursing council portal. You need to take it to the nursing council office and verify. Give them to verify that these indeed are correct. And there is a fee to pay. I think it was 12,000 about 4 years ago. I'm not sure if it's still the same. You need to pay for that verification. Then after that, they're going to take those papers and send it to a UK site that is called the NMC. NMC is the body that usually certifies nurses in the United Kingdom, and you, as the person who's applying, you need to open an account with them. And you're also going to pay registration fees for that as well. So all these things can be done at the same time. You can be studying for your IELTS, registering the NCK, open an NMC portal, and do all the verifications at the same time. So then after that, you need to book an English nursing exam that is provided by the NMC UK board called the CBT, computer-based test. It's an online test that is provided in certain countries. I think Nairobi has it, if I'm not wrong. Nairobi, Tanzania, and Uganda have it as well. I think it's in every country, if I'm not wrong. And you need to pass that. So once you're done with the first part of becoming a UK RN. The next thing is you now need to look for a job. You can either do it by yourself by going on online hospital sites. You can literally search hospitals employed in the United Kingdom in London, and then you'll have all those places. Then go to their sites and see which ones they have. The difference between someone applying from here and at home, you have to make sure that your employer has can provide to you something called certificate of sponsorship. You cannot come to the UK without that. Someone has to say that I am going to take that person under my care, and that's a letter that is called a certificate of sponsorship. So not all hospitals can employ from Kenya. You need to have that employer. And sometimes they have that description that we provide a COS, or sometimes during the application you can request if they do. You can apply through that, or you can go on online sites like Indeed, Track.jobs, LinkedIn as well, and some referrals like on YouTube. There are some ladies, good Nigerian ladies, who usually have very nice YouTube, like Violet Okolocha and the rest. They usually provide at least on a weekly basis. And another lady called Pauline Moyo Popo, she provides a lot of jobs online, so you can just follow her and see at least each week she is able to give you the hospitals that do that. Now the second thing is, apart from the online one, nowadays the Kenya is still under the yellow, is it yellow or amber list. So that means agencies cannot give you a job directly. That was talked about 3 years ago because apparently nurses are moving quite in a large number, and Mr. Kagwe Mungai by then said that nurses can't come directly. So you have to apply through the government portal. Once you've received your NCK verification, if you don't want to go through the hassle of online jobs and stuff, NCK will provide you with a link where you can take all of your documents, and then they're going to give you a job. Once you get a job, once you get your COS, you use that COS letter to go to the visa area, and there is no visa interview. That's the good thing. So as long as you got your COS, you go to the visa area, book your visa, get your passport stamped. Now you have your visa, you're going to have your air ticket, and the next thing you know, you're in the UK. That process can take as short as 6 months and as long as 3 months. It totally depends on the person, how serious they are, their financial capabilities, and how soon they can get a job.
Roughly, how much does the whole process cost? Like,
roughly, from the start to the end, as you have heard, I have not mentioned anywhere any agency fees. If you ever hear anyone telling you to pay any agency fees, it's going to be a con.
We are going to come to that, because that's a very big problem here in Kenya.
Yeah. So say roughly it would cost between 90 to 150,000 depending on where you are, the transport fees, the verification fees, the exams where you're going to take them, visa fees if you have a passport or not. Start with having a passport. You cannot be thinking about coming to the UK, you don't even have a passport. So the passport, the IELTS, I think right now they want to increase the fee to I think 39,000 or something. So I will say anything between 100 to 150,000 depending on where you are. But you can even use less. You can use 60,000. So maybe if you're in Nairobi and all those things are within you, 60,000 should be enough.
And
it's in stages. It's not at the same time. It's in stages.
And let's now go to the unqualified people. These are people who don't have a skill, maybe from 4 leavers. Yeah, and they feel like they want to try abroad. They want to venture abroad and maybe try to get a new stream of income. That is. Are there
I would highly encourage anyone. Oh yeah, there are so many opportunities. I'll start with the UK because that's where I am. In the UK, you can search something called shortage occupational lists and go through that list. There are very many jobs you can find: butchery, cleaners, and stuff. And all those people, there are different pathways that you can use. So if you click on one, you say maybe a butcher, and you click on that, you're going to get a link where you're going to be told the things that you need. Most of the time, just a simple English test, and I don't think they usually need any experience or anything. Then you're going to get your certificate of sponsorship and your visa. Now, there's a difference. Some people are usually told that you can pay your ticket fee, and once you're here, we can sponsor you, and that is fine, as long as you've not been told that you can pay someone. And once you go to the occupational list, just type anything: tailor, butcher, stuff, or go through the whole list. It's quite long, but go through the whole list and see if you can get. There are some other countries where if you just type unskilled workers, like for Australia, they currently have opened a new visa called the aged care worker visa. And if you do not have experience in anything, you can just simply do a 3-course certificate just to make sure that at least you have some healthcare capabilities. Apply and you'll be able to get a sponsorship, and you'll be in Australia within the next 6 months. So whatever it is that you think you might do, like even in the US, if you do not have any professional skills, you can look for cruise ships, and they are currently taking so many people on the cruise ships, sponsoring you, giving you a green card. So start your research. Make sure the research that you're doing are in the government websites. Government websites usually are in .uk, .ca, .aug, .canada, not in the .coms that people go to most of the time. So just do your research. Make sure that you go on YouTube as well, get experience from those people, and once you put your head into it, there's nothing that's impossible. If you want to get out, just get out.
I have a comment here that I want to get your view on. Yeah, this is somebody who is saying this is raiding of talents from Africa. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, what do you think about that? He feels that his name is Timothy. He feels that we are reading talents from Africa, the top professionals, and we end up not having enough professionals back at home because most of them are migrating west.
I wouldn't say that that is incorrect. That is actually quite correct. And you wouldn't blame the people because you have worked hard, you've always read, and the thing about as Africans people, if you read, you're going to do well and you're going to get a good paying job. But at the end of it, you're not getting a good paid job. And at the end of the day, we want to sell ourselves to the highest bidder. So if someone is going to pay me 10 times more the work that I'm doing at home, it's not the Europeans' problem. It's actually our own problem. It's us who employ those people as MPs, as governors, as everyone else. And these are the people who are supposed to say, if you have a certain professional, you're not supposed to be paid below this amount. And to be honest, even right now in the UK, if someone says they're going to pay me a certain amount in Kenya, I'm packing my bags. Like, there's nothing for me here. I don't have relatives in here. It's not like I'm having the time of my life. Apart from the money, there's nothing else for me here. If someone pays me the same amount at home, my friend, tomorrow in the morning, I'm going back. So it's all about, back at home, who are the people are we employing into those positions? And the thing about Europe is they decide that even if you're unskilled, you're going to be paid this amount, and that's why most of them are doing well. Someone has never even stepped in school, but they are driving a Mercedes because the legislation process made sure that at a certain time, if you're unskilled, you're not supposed to be paid under this. So let's not make it seem as if it's us who are the problem. It's the legislation, and it's not even a Kenyan problem. It's everywhere. It's not just Kenyan immigrants or Indians. We have people from Russia who are coming to work here. We have people from China. So even the whites are having the same problem. So it's up to us as a country to decide that we need better legislatures, we need better rules, we need better professional whatever, just to make sure that everyone who's skilled or unskilled at least gets a pay that can live life comfortably. I hope you don't sound angry.
And there's another comment here. There's someone called Judy who is supporting you actually.
Hi Judy.
Yeah, she's
Thank
saying
you for the support.
yeah, she's saying that's not talent raiding. The money people from abroad send back to Kenya actually develops our economy. So she's talking about the injections you send back at home, and she thinks that actually develops our economy. That's her opinion.
It is very, very true. Very, very true. I would highly support that because, as I have said, and I think 75% majority of the immigrants just do the same thing. Come, work, invest at home, and go back home where you're going to employ even more people. The government is using the money to pay their own friends and do their own projects and keep money in overseas accounts. But for us, we're sending it at home to build things, to build houses, and we're creating employment at the end of the day. So the more the people can go, and some can come back and become lecturers, so there is still exchange of good things. It's not just about the money at all times. Yeah, I would highly suggest and support Judy. Thank you, Judy.
Let's talk about tips in the visa application, because I was seeing the other day there was a lot of complaints because you know, if you're from the UK and you're applying for a visa to come to Africa, and I really think this is something that is very wrong and should be corrected, because for a white person, let me just use the word white. For a white person in the UK who wants to apply to come to Kenya or Africa, and maybe there's a problem in the visa application process, an email is sent to them and it's like, hello, kindly correct here and here and here, you see. Yeah, but when a black person wants to go abroad, there was actually complaints that people think that this is a business, because you find that a lot of people apply for visas and then they are rejected with no reason and no money is refunded. Yes. So many people feel like it's a business, and I also feel it's a business because the number of people who apply for visas every day is quite a lot, and the number of people who get it is quite little.
You are not wrong. I don't know if you follow UK news, but our Prime Minister, Mr. Rishi Sunak, has just said some days ago that he's going to increase the visa fees when coming to the UK, so that the UK can get more money to pay people. So it is a business. It is a route that the UK gets. Second thing, the UK's universities are highly, highly funded by international fees.
Mm-hmm.
So all the students who are coming in, most of them do not end up getting jobs, but the fees that they're paying here is in millions, and that's the money that's circulating in universities, and they plainly say that it's the international money that is keeping them afloat. So these visa fees and the passport fees, especially visa fees, you get denied for no reason. And there's actually a petition that has been going around where they're collecting signatures. I don't know how far it has gone to, but they want to abolish that because it's not fair. Because when they come to our country, we don't ask them for much. I understand there's a white syndrome, but we don't ask them for much. So we are coming here as highly skilled people.
White supremacy.
If they extend, yeah, exactly, and that should stop. We have 50 years plus from our independence, and that should stop. So if at all we are coming to exchange skills, if you need me, and I'm coming here to exchange skills, I'm coming to my country for tourism, it should be on a fair ground. It doesn't make me less of a person just because I come from home. They still have the higher ground because yes, they've got more resources and stuff, but it doesn't make them more supreme. So I really, really think it is a business. Unfortunately, I think the government is in it as well because they're the ones who run those places, TLC visa and stuff. They're the ones who run it. They rent it out to the British people to have their offices. So at the end of the day, it's a full-grown business. What you can do is just make sure you've got enough money. I know life is not going to be fair.
And
It won't. Maybe it's going to change soon, but let's hope something's going to change soon.
Edwin is saying any unsuccessful application should have a refund. They can take like 10%, but everything else ni wizi wa mabavu mchana. He feels like they can take 10% of it for the processing, but the rest should be refunded.
Yes, I think so as well, because you do a lot. No one even pays for you the photocopies, the transport to go there and the stuff. I think it should be refunded, not only in Kenya, everywhere else. If you're unsuccessful for a visa, it should be refunded because it's seriously, some people have been declined like 3 times. Even from here,
actually,
you're here and you want to bring your family here, it's declined 3 times and no one is paying you for that.
Actually, Edwin has sent me a tweet by Boniface Mwangi, and Boniface Mwangi is tweeting about a young Kenyan who was supposed to report to work this month at a Virgin Cruise, and he applied the US visa 4 times, while in Kuwait and twice here, and he was denied 4 times. No reasons were given for the denial, no refund, 80k plus gone, and that is it.
It is a business, that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to say much, but it is a business. And I think a petition should come through and the government should be serious about it. If someone denies you a place to go, then they should refund you half of it.
Reciprocate.
I know half of it might be used for other things, but at least refund me half of it.
True.
Because I'm not coming to your place anyway. And if it's declined one time, most of the time you would get it. So just refund me my money and let me try in another country. So yeah,
so
I think there should be a petition.
So that's why I want you to give us tips and hacks.
Tips and hacks for what? Sorry.
For the visa application process, like.
Oh no, I wish I had one. For the UK, at least there is no I feel it's hard, but it's unusual to be declined unless you've got a criminal history. Because right now, especially during this COVID period, they really needed people, and they didn't need the interviews and stuff. But I think it's in the countries where the interviews are, that's where the problem is. And sometimes they do some psychological things. If they see, like for the UK visa, if I want to invite someone and I've applied for a visa, if I put in a reason that they're coming to help me with a child, most likely, with childcare, that is most likely they're going to fail. But if they say that they're coming in for tourism and stuff, they're going to get the visa. So the small things, they play like psychological mind games. If you say that you're never going to come back to Africa, most likely you're not going to get it. If you say that you're going to send money home and build things at home, you're not going to get it because they want people who are going to stay and build their own countries. I really don't have that. I think that's totally up to them. If they want to give you plus, depend, umepata mtu yupi hiyo siku, umepata mtu mwenye na kisirani, bahati yako mbaya, jaribu next time.
So this is
Usitoke. If one country does not give you, go to the next. Go to China, go to non-English speaking countries. There are so many jobs in Finland, Germany, stuff. People don't go there because of English. Japan, China. Try in other many countries. You don't have to go to English speaking countries, by the way.
This is the Black Hot Fire Network. It's 112. For those of you who are listening from the radio, you can talk to me on the. You can talk to us on the chat. Those of us who are watching, you can talk to me also on the chat. Those who are watching on YouTube, and I think we are also live on Facebook and Twitter. I think we are also live on Twitter. So you can talk to me. You can send your questions to the Paulette. You can ask your question and she will address them. And I see one question here.
Okay.
It's a Kenyan, of course. So he's asking, is there money? Kuna pesa?
Sasa, there is something I said on TikTok and it went viral, and I think I'm going to repeat it. There is money.
That's what
There
Kenyans
is a
want.
lot of money.
That's what Kenyans want to hear. Kuna pesa ama
Yes,
kuna?
there is a lot of money. Lakini kujipanga lazima. You have to really have a plan. Don't just learn for the sake of maju. I would say there's a lot of money depending on who you are as a person. If you come here and you're single, even if you're family, if you just come one person and live a very frugal life for at least 3 to 5 years, I'm telling you, you're going to make a lot of money. If you just give yourself time. But if you come here, you want to live the London boy life, you want to drive the cars and stuff, you're going to find it very hard. If you're not someone who does extra work, like there's some people who can even work 7 times in a week, Monday to Monday. I'm not encouraging anyone to do that though. But if you can put in the extra work, there is money. I'm not going to lie to you that there is not. It won't be as much as you think. You'd not make millions per month, but you can be a millionaire in like 2 to 3 years. If millionaire is 1 million. Once you settle down, you can start saving. And as I had mentioned before in the video, there are many jobs that you can do. Even as an immigrant, you're allowed to work. Even if you're a student, you're allowed to work. It's only visitors who are not allowed to work. That if you're coming on any other visa, you're allowed to work. And there are so many jobs you can do one and do two and do one extra job and still be able to live a livable life. And it's even better if you can spend it in Kenyan shillings. If you can take it home, the better.
Yeah, we should.
If you are two of you, yeah?
Go on.
If you're the two of you, maybe you can arrive and plan things, get your house in order, get your car, get everything, and then invite someone else who can do the work. If, like for me and my partner, we're both nurses, doing our best to make sure that we at least are configuring both of our monies and making sure that we are earning the most that we can at the moment. So to answer your question, yes, there is money in the UK. It depends who you are as a person, how hardworking you are, and how frugal you can. So yeah.
Yeah, just to remind them, if you go abroad, make sure you build your country back, because just go earn the money and remember to build back home. Send the money back home. Our economy is struggling, and we need that money we need those injections. So if you go abroad, if you happen to go abroad, maybe to look for greener pastures, just remember to build back home, right?
True.
Yeah. So I see another question here, and it's somebody who is in a dilemma.
Okay. Hope I'll help.
And they are asking, should I really leave Kenya?
I said in another TikTok video, and I'm going to repeat it here. Know your why. There are people who are coming here because nurses are coming, even them they are a nurse, so they've decided they're also going to migrate. The other people who are coming for family, to improve their family. I've worked with people who are earning more than 300,000 back at home. And when they came here, they're earning almost the same or even less, but they're happy being here because of their family. If you're someone who is earning well, able to live middle class and above life, can afford your bills, still have a good social life, you see yourself scaling in your job within the next 10 years, think twice about it. And if you still want to come, make sure you're coming at the highest level possible. But if you're struggling, you're a hustler, you can barely make ends meet. You can barely make ends meet. You can barely afford anything. You can't even build one structure for yourself. You can't even get a mortgage. You can't live a good life. Struggling. just get on the next plane and come over. You're going to live a better life.
Yeah,
It also depends on personal reasons. Might be for your children. You might be in a good job, but you're feeling like your children don't have a future at home. So it's totally on a personal level. There are people who have come here. I know of two couples.
mhm,
They were doing well. They came here within 6 months. They had to go back home because they couldn't handle it, and they were living a better social life there. There are two single ladies I know who came here, were earning quite well, but because of the poor social life in here, which you can literally die of depression if you don't have people to talk to. They had to go back home because they couldn't handle it. They had a good social life. They could see their mom. They were walking around. They got their cars. They got their small apartment. They went back home. So it's totally up to you. If you feel like you can give yourself time here and you can handle the pressure of Europe's lifestyle, please, by all means, come. But if you think it's going to be a lot of pressure, you can work at home or you can go to countries that are a little bit nearer to home and still make the same amount. So just do your own hesabos before you decide.
yes, there's actually somebody called Eyes as Red Amber Jewel, and he agrees with you partially and disagree with you partially.
Fair enough.
Yeah, he's saying yes. Why leave your beautiful mineral-rich continent to immigrate to other people's country, who will treat your black African people as a subhuman species? So, Eyes as Red Amber Jewel, you can tell us where you are watching us from, because I'm sure he's from the diaspora. You can tell us where you're from and how the experience is where you are, and
Yeah.
why you feel that way. So he thinks we should not leave our mineral rich continent to immigrate to other people's country, which I also agree with partially, because Africa is also a very rich continent that is only mismanaged. It's a very rich continent with minerals.
Only, yeah, that's what I said before. It's only mismanagement on the people that we choose to have as leaders. The only difference between this place and at home, I can tell you for sure, it's structure. It's only structure. If you're not able to work, there are structures for you to earn money. If you're not able to work, there are structures for you to earn money while you're still at home. If you are a professional, you can scale up in your professional, what is it called? In your professional development, there are skills to that. You can earn as much as you'd like. There are so many opportunities, but those opportunities can be made back at home. It's just the legislature and the systems and the structure. Corruption here, I would say it's still there, but not noticeable because there are structures to it. If you need something, go online, click on it, pay for it, you have it. If you need a service, click on it, call the number, book for an appointment, go in, pay for it, you've got it. Those are the structures I'm talking about. So it's these little things that you notice. We are not far off from these people.
We are
There's
better
nothing
off.
special
We are
to
better
them.
off in terms of
Right.
richness, minerals.
Far.
Yeah, we are so
Right.
much
Far.
better than them.
By far, it's just the structures. That's why I say if someone takes that structure back at home and pays me that same amount and gives me better working conditions, tomorrow in the morning you will see me landing in JKIA, and I am not even flaunting. I am very serious. So it's just the structures. So if I repeat, if you're doing well for yourself, you don't have to. You seriously don't have to, unless you have other reasons. You do not have to. I did it because I was young, didn't have a family then. I had opportunities that came along, which was I was earning double than what I was earning back at home. So that made sense to me. But for the people I've mentioned who went back at home, they were earning almost the same or even more and had a better social life. So they went back. So you see, it's all about structures. So depends per person. If you want to come, just do your scaling and see if it's going to make sense or not.
And there's also there's another person agreeing with you here, and he's, which I also agree with. He's saying Africa has built the world, which I believe is true. Africa has built the world.
I wish I could bring you to the British Museum in London. There is no single British artifact in the British Museum. Literally, it's all about Indian things, African things that they have and stuff. It's us who have built them. But we know we as Africans, we earn a lot from selling each other to the highest bidder. So the government is going to sell us the highest bidder. I think that's the reason why they also put us on Amber List, to be honest. It's one of the reasons why they stopped nurses to be able to come to the UK directly. Like I came before all those restrictions were put in, and I can tell you per week I had almost 10 interviews that I didn't even apply for. They just saw my CV on LinkedIn and they were running for me, but immediately we were put on there so that one person can control all those things and sell you short while they're selling your CV to the highest bidder but giving you a certain amount. It's just unfair, to be honest. So yeah.
There's another question here. I'll ask this one. We will finish with this question. So before we get to that, how is life as a Kenyan in the West, like generally?
What I notice is it depends on a person. For me, I would still prefer my life back at home because of where I live. I live in a small town. It's a very white town, very expensive, very suburban, full of old, rich, white, retired people. Barely have any friends around. If I want to see any people, I have to go all the way to Liverpool. And it's a good thing I still have my partner and my child around here, so I'm not that bored. At least there are African shops, so I do not struggle with food. I still eat ugali, skuma, nyama, whatever. Omena, I can bring it from home. So you can make life as good as you want it to be. Despite all that, I'm living quite comfortably. I'm living okay. I'm living like an hour from Birmingham. So if there are any Kenyan, what is it called? Kenyan parties or anything, I just attend. There are people who are living in London and are having the best social life because that's where everyone meets. People living in Birmingham having the best social lives, but there are other people who are living quite in the outskirts. And you might find the social life is not that good. But depends with you as a person. I'm a very social person as well. I enjoy my own company at the end of the day, so I feel like it's totally what you want it to be. It can get lonely. Do not even try to think that it's a good social life. Don't come here and think that Wazungu are going to embrace you and stuff. Very rarely. Even if they do, it won't be that genuine. They won't be like your best friends or something.
Yeah, talking about Wazungu and best friends, there's I see another comment from Sammy. He's saying, let's talk about the cons now.
Wow, the cons. As I have mentioned, social life. Social life is to the drain. Does not matter whether in London or where, it's very lonely in here. Problem is, you are immigrating to a new country when you're an adult. It's not like when you're a child, when you're thrown in the playground, you just go and start playing with the randomest child there. People are adults. People have things that they're doing. So the social life is not that good. Most people just work 10 times more than they usually work at home. They have things to do. They've got black tax. They've got all these things. So meeting them, something as small as a birthday, you have to book like 3 months before. So it's just those small things. Second con is how expensive it can be. You might earn a lot, but end up saving very little because of how expensive the place is. And it might just force you to do extra work, and you might end up being very tired at the end of the day. And so many people have ended up injured. We recently lost several nurses the last 1 year due to fatigue and stuff. One was just driving and she slept while she was behind the wheel and stuff. So forcing you to be very extremely tired and doing the extra work, I would say that drains you physically.
So
third thing is for those people who are
so I was talking to Sammy who sent the question. The Paulette is saying Africa is a very rich continent. We are rich in everything, and if you don't have to go, don't go if you can sustain yourself back here.
You see, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what.
If you can sustain yourself, you're living good. You can save. If you see yourself within the next 10 years, you're seeing yourself in a very high position. You're able to sort your parents or your siblings. You're able to save. You can even take yourself to do a master's, do a PhD. You're scaling yourself up, and you can see yourself scaling up, because people are saying Africa is the next king within the next 50 years.
Yeah, that's
if you're able to put yourself in that direction, if you're able to do some IT courses, if you're able to put yourself in some direction, the environmental thing, IT courses, stuff like that. If you're able to put yourself towards that direction and make sure when the time comes for Africa, you'll be among the people who will be chosen to lead it. If you can put yourself among those people, you're going to do better than people who have been here for years and all they have to show for is just very little, like just a house and stuff. And all their lives they've lived here. They've not made friends. They've not invested at home. They've lived a very lonely life. They've not had children and stuff like that. So you have to balance it. At the end of the day, humans really enjoy social life apart from making money. So just know your balance. Know what you can live with. Know what you can't live without. If you're very young, please come. You'll be able to sort yourself out and maybe go back home even before 50 years old and live your best next 50 years. But no one gives you a guarantee that you're going to live that long. So just make sure that you live your best life. Whether you're Kenya, here, balance it out. If it's going to work for you, come over. If you're good, stay where you are. Hear it from me. Stay where you are if you're good.
And Cynthia is saying she went to live in Israel, and within the first 2 weeks she was regretting.
I say that as well. The first time I reached here, I was like, no. I packed my bags and I told my mama, I'm going home. Literally. It was horrible. It was lonely. I came here when I was so pregnant, so it was even 10 times worse. The whole raising a child here, just you and your partner, there are no house help, there's no, yani it's the weather, Christ, UK weather, I told you, it's summer, but it's been raining the last 4 days. It's horrible. You can be depressed the whole time. You always have to be on supplements. Social life is horrible. You have to work extra hard. The stress of paying bills, the whole culture shock of trying to understand how the European system is, especially if you're coming here after spending 20 plus years at home, trying to migrate when you're such an adult. It's horrible. But for anyone who is moving away from home, change your mentality. Do not think that you're going to make ends meet or you're going to break even within the first 1 to 2 years. Give yourself that time. If you're going to hit the rock bottom, go there knowing that I might hit rock bottom, and that's going to help you because at least you'll be prepared for that bottom. But if you're going there just with a high of, then I'm a Jew, I'm going to make this much amount. When you go there and you find that's not how things really work and it's going to take you time, you might end up being very depressed and stuff. So just go thinking about the worst of what's going to happen. So even if the best happens to you, you're still ace, you're still good.
She's saying we went to a KFC and they refused to serve us because we are black. I'm so sorry for that experience.
Was it in the UK?
No, Israel.
Oh, may I always say, me and Warabu. Those countries, because you still, I worked in Mombasa and I still saw a little bit of that. So sorry for that. In the UK, I would say if that happens, just make sure you have your camera out and please record and find a good lawyer. Now,
you are about to get paid.
I'm not encouraging anyone to do anything fishy, but that's what I said.
So let's talk about the scandal that happened in Uasin Gishu about people getting robbed. So many Kenyans were robbed. They were told to they were contributing, I think, 1 million shillings to go to Australia. Yeah, it was 1 million shillings to go to Australia and others in Finland. And after you paid, the company closes. The agencies.
Now, I wish I could remember those 2 guys on TikTok who usually tell people about agencies and stuff. There is a difference. You might be told that pay for your thing, like pay for your exams, pay for your verifications, pay for your what is it called? Pay for your visa, pay for your passport, pay it yourself to those websites. Like if you're told we need this amount, this is the website to pay the passport for, this is the website to pay the visa for and stuff. That is very legal and you can do that as long as the money is going from you to a verified website of the government, whichever it is, UK, Australia, whatever. But if someone tells you, give me this amount and I'm going to sort the rest out for you, it's going to be a long con. Most definitely. UK, it is very illegal for an employer to ask you for money. They can ask you to pay for your own ticket through the Kenya Airways. That is legal, that's okay. But if someone tells you, give me this amount, and we're going to give you the COS, give me this amount, and I'm going to do this job for you, give me this amount and we'll take you to Australia. If you go to the Australia website, there's absolutely nowhere where those jobs are. If someone tells you, I'm going to take you to a certain place, to a certain job, ask them, what job is that? If they tell you it's to pick what? Maybe for a butchery. Just go and type for yourself. You've got internet, you've got a phone. Type butchery work in the UK from Kenya. See if there's anything. And as I said before, most of the people can create their own websites and you may think it's the correct one. Just make sure that it's the correct government website. For all things government, it's gov.uk. For Australian, I can't remember, is it au.uc? I can't remember. Now you have to make sure that it's not the sponsored links that you get, it's the official government websites. And it's very unfortunate that people up to date are still very, very gullible. When someone tells you, pay me this much and I'm taking you there, you've got internet. Why are you not researching, honestly? Even if you're not able to research, you've got the number to embassies in Kenya. You may even send someone who's in Nairobi, just go to the embassy and ask, I've been told to pay this amount to get this job. Is this the correct way? Now, there's a difference. There are some agencies who ask you for an amount, a small one, so that they can do all these things for you. Maybe you don't have the time to do your nursing verification, you don't have the time to photocopy things, and it should be very little amount, like 5,000 for me to photocopy. You know, it's a business at the end of the day. They're trying to build themselves. So I wouldn't say that that is illegal. But someone to tell you, give me $1 million. Seriously, if you got $1 million, where are you going? Don't you use that money for something else? So please do not be gullible. I am very sorry for those people. I know people are looking forward to get out of Kenya and stuff, but do your own research. YouTube is the best place where you can get it. Just type butchery work in UK on YouTube. You're going to get 2 video max. Even with 15 MBs, you can watch it. And you'll get the whole process of what you need to do. I've already told you, you can go to the UK website and check for shortage occupational list. Australian website has the same. Canadian website almost has the same. In these funny countries like Finland, where you rarely hear people are going, and someone is telling you, pay me this much, most likely you also not go there. There are reasons why people are not going there. Most likely the pathway to go there is very difficult. Like in Australia, it's very expensive for you to go as an immigrant. There's a reason why not so many people are, because the restrictions. UK is a little bit easy, the restrictions are a little bit clear, but in these other countries, it's usually very hard, and they have very strict, stringent rules on how you can get there, either by visitor visa, student visa, and all those things are to be paid directly to the website. Do not give anyone any amount of money, people. If you are, just make sure it's for a service, for a small extent service, like they can upload documents for you and stuff like that, but not to give you a job, not to give you visas. Visas are given by one particular office in Nairobi. It's not being given in Makueni County or something. That's not happening. So very sorry for those people, but make sure people around you are not that gullible. Do your own research.
So going to the questions, I see a question here. Somebody is asking for your opinion on the stolen artifacts that you talked about in.
I've got a lot to say. I don't want your channel to be flagged, but
this is the media of the 21st century. We cannot be flagged. They can try, but we can't.
I have a lot.
We want to hear that a lot.
Now, we have to agree on one thing. We slacked as Africans. We were too inviting as a people. We let these people come in. But good thing is we fought back. Now, the things have already been stolen. How can we take them back? Now, in 2023, I can't go to the museum and ask them, give me back our things. The Indians have tried. They have failed. It's still on the Queen's thing, the thingy. The only thing that we can do is this one African country. I wish I can get my facts right, which country that is. They have stopped the exportation of one of their most precious stones to European countries. If you want that, you should build your business in that particular country. If someone knows what that country is, please write in the comment section. That's the only way that we can steal our stuff back. If you need this thing from us, we should be the first people to benefit off of it. Those things that were stolen, I would highly petition people to request for them to return them back, but there's a very high chance that would happen because you might start wars between countries and we're not ready for that. The only way we can do that is more people should come onto here and grab as much as you can, build home, and make sure that our Africa is as good as it can get. What's stolen is already stolen. We slacked that time, but this time we have to stay ready. If Africa is indeed the next big thing, the next 50 to 100 years, we need to start working now. Get in the best positions, do as much as you can, and hopefully it will end quite well. Hopefully, we shall all rise and become the big African nation that we can be.
So you are saying that the museums are actually African artifacts, mostly.
Oh no, from the whole world. Honestly, I wish I did a video. I forgot to do, but I'm going to go back there soon. It's literally the gods in Egypt, the things from Egypt, the things from India. This is from this country. When you go and check in the local museums, that's when you can get British things, and they're not that good of things. It's like a stone here and a spear there. But when you go to the main museum in London, you find mummified things that should be returned back to where they got them from. Proper golden things, and it's not even in that one museum, it's all over the place. So I think someone made a TikTok out of it like 2 weeks ago when they went there, thinking that they're going to learn more about the British history, only for them to learn more about their own country, because it's mostly Indian things that are there and stuff. African things are also there, but just unfortunate that we allowed it to get that far, but it is what it is. We just have to make sure that the next time it's us. Let's not be colonized again, please.
I have someone saying that the only reason the pyramids are in Egypt is because they could not fit in the plane.
Exactly. Very true. If they could have a way of taking it and putting it somewhere else, it wouldn't be in Egypt. I agree. I totally agree. But we are the superpower this time round. We need to be serious. We need to seriously. And I'm loving what Kenyans are doing with the Maandamano thing. Even if we're in the diaspora, we're keeping up with it. At least people are starting to voice out. And if you go through most, I wouldn't say most, but some of the European countries, one thing they have in common is they had a proper meeting amongst themselves. I won't call it a war, but proper meeting between the citizens where heshima lazima ingedumu so that they can go forward from there. And I feel like that is what is currently happening in Kenya, where the citizens are like, no, not again, we can't go through this again. We also have to benefit. So it's these small things that eventually lead to a good revolutionized countries, and hopefully we're going to the first world country soon. It should happen very soon, obviously. If that happens, I'm home. I'm home. Trust me. I'm home.
And we've had our president. He has been really fighting the Western countries. If you've noticed, the other day he was talking about the de-dollarization of Africa, moving from the dollar, and he has been advocating for Africans paying other Africans using our local currencies and dropping the dollars, the pounds.
That's what leaders like Sankara and the other guy at the top tried to do, but so many people are earning from all this dollar exchange and stuff. So definitely that's going to take a while. But if that happens,
it's a good
nobody is going to ever take Africa down. I'm going to take Africa as a whole continent at this point. Doesn't even matter which country you are from. If I'm able to pay everything and the Kenyan shilling can now be seen as a proper currency, it's going to be life-changing. No one is even going to earn below 20,000 because now 20,000 is going to be the least amount that any unskilled person can get. And that means when you're 12 years old, you can start earning 12,000 because your Kenyan currency is building onto yourself. That means most industries are also going to start coming into the country because there's no need to start setting up places in Europe yet. We as a country are self-sufficient. We are also going to have our own businesses there. So I truly support that. It's high time that happens. I don't know how that can happen. I'm not a financial guru or something. If it happens, it's going to be wonderful. It's going to be wonderful. Even if we just have one African currency, I don't mind it. It's the best thing that can happen. It's a start, So I hope that happens.
Let me look at other question. I see someone who was saying you are advising fellow Africans to run away from their mineral-rich lands to Chinese, Europeans, and South Indians.
I haven't advised anyone to run away, but there is no need for you to be living in what even English word can I use that doesn't even sound bad?
And
you can't be living a life that is unsatisfactory to yourself. You have to know, if I take this step, I'm going to make it not only better for myself, but for someone else. You don't have to come here and die in here. You can come in here for 5-10 years, go home, build your business, and now start earning in Kenyan shillings and be a business mogul at home. You need capital for all these things. If you're earning 20,000, 15,000, when are you ever going to get 1 million shillings to put up a business? No. But if you're able to get a place in here, save as much as you can, 5-10 years, you've built your mama house, you've built yourself a house, you've got some capital, go home, invest. You don't even have to work until you're 60. There's
another comment that is somebody else is saying, to be fair, she's actually advising against going abroad if not necessary.
If not necessary, that's what I say. That person wasn't listening. Listen, I say, look into your own life. Do you need it? Are you okay? Are you living a middle class life? Are you fine? Are you saving? Is your family okay? Are your children going to nice private schools? Do you have a social life where you can go out every weekend? Do you have a small kaduduka over there? Can you afford a basic middle class life? And if you can see yourself scaling up in the next 10 years, why are you coming here? Because when you come here, what nobody ever tells you is no matter how much money you have, you're going to start from zero. You're going to buy everything from kichungi, nini, sufuria, nini, kila kitu, and all that costs money. Traveling also costs money, settling costs money. So you're going to start from zero. Imagine starting from zero and you're 35. Yet when you're 35, maybe you're earning 150,000 Kenyan shillings at home and you're able to survive, you and your partner. Maybe together you're bringing even 90,000 and you're living a good life. It's very personal. Yeah. So I'm not saying that people should run, but if you have the opportunity and you feel like it's going to be good for you, take it. If you feel like it's a 50-50 chance, do not even try. Don't even think about it.
I have another comment of someone saying it's a battle between peace of mind and money.
That is the worst battle that life ever gave to us, honestly. Getting that answer for that is totally on a personal level. You have to decide, is it for the money? Because as I had mentioned, the couples who went back home eventually realized it's not even about the money. I can make as little at home and still be okay. I can make as much here and live the worst life. So I agree, it's a battle that you have to decide for yourself.
So basically you are telling them, and I want you to talk to the Kenyans in the diaspora, because there are many of them already who are there, and just remind them to build Kenya, because remind them to build Africa, because as you said, we are a very rich continent that is mismanaged, and we really need to build ourselves and put ourselves on the same platform as the West, because to be fair, we are above them in terms of resources, in terms of our lands are fertile. We don't even have to worry about summer, winter. So I want you to remind them to build Kenya, to build Africa.
My fellow diasporians, Stibin. So I understand how hard it is being in here, and there's always that dilemma of I've already moved, I've already settled, where should I build back at home? It's okay, make sure the life you're living in the diaspora is comfortable to your own standards. But after that, what's next? If you are the kind of person who you feel like this is not the place you'd like to retire in, let's start investing. Let's start putting the work. Let's start building things at home. That way, we don't even have to send money back at home as black tax. If you're putting up businesses at home, if you're putting up something else at home, it doesn't even have to be immediate. You can even return back after a few years and put something there. You don't have to give handouts to your uncles and your aunties. You can tell them, I've got a cleaning job, I've got a cashier job, I've got a security job. Are you going to take it? If one person does that to a village or to a town, can imagine 10 diasporians building hotels in a small town, 10 people coming together and one of them deciding that we came from the diaspora, and now we need to run for office in Kenya to bring the changes that we have experienced from home. It's going to change everything. So I'm one of those people who highly tell people in diaspora, it does not matter whether you're going to die there or not. Just remember where you came from, the resources that you were able to get from home that you were able to use to come with here is because of other people's decisions that were able to put you in that position. So just make sure that you also help out people directly or indirectly. So let's save, let's invest at home, and that's the only way we're going to make sure that people at home are as comfortable as they can get. Yeah.
Build Kenya, build Africa, build Kenya. That is the message.
Kenya. Yeah, that's my message. Build Kenya as much as you can, but still stay comfortable, but build Kenya. That's the line.
As we are coming to the end of the show, because I say we have like 12 minutes. It's 1:48.
Oh.
It's 1:48 Kenyan time.
Okay, it's 11:48, so I still got time to enjoy my Saturday.
What's your advice to young mothers in Kenya, in Africa?
Yeah, I'm a mom of one,
Mm-hmm.
and it has been life changing.
Mm-hmm.
My parents say first I got a child, I snapped and I changed like this. It is one thing to have a child, and it's another thing to have a planned child at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I took my own time, and I'm glad that I became a mom. There are some people who become moms, time that for it, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to now put your head forward and decide that this child is here because of me. If we all grow old and I'm not able to give them the good life, it's going to be on me. Good life is totally dependent on you. Good life to you might be eating chips every Friday. It might be living in a 3-bedroom mansion house. It's totally up to you. So just put your everything together and decide that now we are going to be the best thing that this child has ever experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're thinking about even traveling diaspora as a mom,
Mm-hmm.
and you feel like there's an opportunity for you and your child,
Mm-hmm.
trust me, take it. Take it. It does not matter how hard it's going to be, but take it. I've backed my child in the UK, and it was like the best thing that ever happened. He's able to experience things that even as an adult I have not yet experienced, and I would highly suggest all moms. I know it's hard, but do your best and just make sure the child gets the best. Even if you're not able to come to the diaspora, wherever it is that you are,
Mm-hmm.
just make sure you do your best. That's all.
And I see another comment here of somebody saying, "Go get the dollars and build Africa."
That is exactly what I was saying. Go and get it and build home. That's exactly as I was saying before. I'm not encouraging people to run away from their homes. But the capital, it's all about earning in dollars and paying it in shillings. That's not what everyone in the diaspora is going to agree with. But it's what is going to help us. Some of us live, earn in pounds, earn in dollars, earn in yen, earn in whatever. Even the people who are going to Kuwait and Dubai and stuff, earning that is the only way that we are going to change our lives.
Send the
For
capital,
now and also for retirement and the generations.
send the capital back home. And I see we have Mr. Black Hotfire, Keith Newsome. He's in the US, and I know he will also tell people of how Africa is a very rich continent that we need to build. Mr. Keith.
Very rich.
Keith,
One thing,
are you getting me, Keith?
want to say good afternoon to get. Whoa. Want to say good afternoon to your guest. I don't want to be disrespectful. And shout out to you, Oswald. Yeah, I seen it when I woke up. I seen the I don't think he's been I don't think he's been disingenuous. I think as an African, the African is loving and kind. People are loving and kind. And they don't want us in England. They don't want us in Australia. They don't want us in France. They don't want us in Spain. They don't want us. They don't want us. They'll use you. They'll use you to benefit your society. They do not want that there. See, been to Dubai. How many times I've been to Dubai and seen Africans, the African struggle and the disrespect. The amounts of disrespect. because the African sees everybody better than themselves. And like I said, I grew up around about the Kenyans in the DMV area, Washington D.C. area. So it's I don't get bogged down in the different countries. Africans are Africans. They need to learn that. She's right about building back home. Usually when you get to Europe, it's so expensive you never get a chance to send back home, or America, or Australia's even worse. They don't even want you. They're blatantly in your face racist. Blatantly. You know, Africans have been taught by lies growing up on the continent that white people like you through your religion, either be Christian insanity or Islam nonsense. That these people like you, they don't. They didn't come to colonize you to help us. They didn't come in to help us. Came because, like you just said, it's wealthy, it's rich. I want it, steal it. So when she's talking about the British museums, especially the one down in London, I've been. It's all African. Everything's still, and not the fake Arab that's now up in Egypt. The actual real Africans who create those kingdoms in all of North Africa. Not the people that's there today who try to claim that they don't claim they're Africans. Those are Turks who came into Africa during the 6th and 7th century. But as African people, you gotta unite. You'll never build Africa with all these different tribes. That's why people dominate you. You think Rudo, you're being naive again. You think Rudo is telling off the West? He's not. Go, I told you. Stop being a child. You got to stop being naive. The BRIC system is set up by the same people who created the dollar system. You think he's allowed to say this to Moray? Because if he said it 10 years ago to be a bullet in his head like Gaddafi, go look up who created BRICS. It was created by Goldman Sachs. These are the same people that create the dollar.
So
American government.
Keith, you're saying we are jumping from the frying pan to the fire.
Yeah, because he knows you don't know, you're miseducated. You don't know there's a lie, but the propaganda's good. Oh, look at him fighting the Europeans. You never see no African leader fight no Europeans because they're all puppets and scared. They don't do nothing. So you need to say, okay, if he's, all of a sudden, why is he now fighting the Europeans, supposedly? Go behind the facade. Don't be so easily propagandized with it. You can look. You got Google right there. Look that up tomorrow. Who created BRICS? Goldman Sachs in New York. The American dollar is not owned by the American people. There's a certain amount of bankers who create the dollar, who created is now creating BRICS. Why do you think China was created as a country?
The
didn't exist 30 years ago. Yeah, the BRICS.
It's saying it's saying the founders were Russia, India, China, and Brazil.
No, but who created it? There you go. Tell you Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, it's
2001.
it's Goldman Sachs.
So is Goldman Sachs in China? Is Goldman Sachs in India?
No.
Is Goldman Sachs? You need to know these things. And stop thinking your president is fighting the West. He's not.
He's taking us for a ride.
Yeah, because you're too naive. You would not go back in because you guys believe in the Christian family. When it came and told you were backwards, you were poor, you needed the white man Jesus, another lie. I'm not gonna get into that. You won't research things. It's African people, you're gullible. I'm African, of course. I'm African American, but you're too gullible, too loving. You don't understand. I don't want to let the continent go. It's wealthy. I stole it from you. Think I'm gonna just give it back to you? You're gonna say, okay, I'm gonna let you move to a new system that I don't control. Are you crazy? What they're doing is they go from country to country. Somebody need to know history. First they set up France as a power, then they collapsed it. Then they went to Britain, set up as a power, then they collapsed it. They moved to America, set up as a power. Now they're collapsing America. The new system is in China. It's the same people. You need to know this.
Kids, I want us to continue with this topic on the BRICS for a few more minutes, if you please. But before that, I want to let the Paulette go because She was supposed to be here up to 2 p.m. and then we can go on and educate people on the BRICS and the West, because so many people in Kenya here think that President Ruto is actually taking us from the West, like he's
so many Africans believe that all around, not just him.
Mhm.
The morons in Nigeria, they destroyed. Oh my God, what they did to Nigeria with the CBDCs that was coming in. I want her to be careful. She's in, as you know, Mosquito and all our listeners that are in the UK already know what's coming. Hope she know what's coming.
so
They're trying to lock her in 15-minute cities.
Mhm.
They're trying to the digital bank currency, but they already put in Nigeria.
Mhm.
You got to understand what they're doing.
Mhm.
It's a real. I can't say it on YouTube because you know they'll take the channel down.
So-
It's African people
Mhm.
in the UK who write me out. They know what's going on. They understand it. I mean, as letters I get, I'm glad they know
Mhm.
because it's not. You're gonna be some fighting in the streets of the UK just like you got in France right now.
Mhm.
So it's
So Keith, let's see the Paulette off first, and then we come back and discuss this whole thing of, because I saw the president talking about something called the Afrexima Bank. We are coming to talk about all of that and how he was talking about So the Paulette, it's been a pleasure having you.
I didn't mean to interrupt her
Thank
time.
you.
I apologize for interrupting your time, sister.
No, Mister, don't
it's alright.
leave, Keith, don't leave. We are coming back to talk about the BRICS for a few minutes. Yeah, for a few minutes. So, the Paulette, it was a pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me. Before I leave, I'd like to say I totally agree with what you were saying. That's why I said before that Africans get a lot from selling other Africans to the highest bidder. So you just have to be very careful about which direction we're going to take, just to make sure we're not colonized again this time through other means that I can't say on this channel. So thank you so much for having me here.
I'm saying it's correct. You can say it on the channel, no problem. That little something you can say. And they are colonized again. That's BRICS. They are. You hope that. That's what BRICS is about. You keep colonizing.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, the president is going against the European. He's not. He's not. We're going.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you for having me.
So
My toddler is literally screaming in the other room. So
Before you leave,
I need to rush.
before you
Before they call the
rush,
police on me.
before you rush, I'm going to
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
the Paulette, before you rush, I'm going to release you in the next 1 minute. We finished the show with a question on what advice would you give to your younger self?
Wow, you should have given me an heads up before you gave me that question. But I'll just sum it up in one statement. It will get better. That's all.
So
It will get better.
thank you for having been with us. I hope we'll have you again because I know people learned a lot.
Most definitely, yeah. You know where to get me, so
It was-
I enjoyed myself most definitely.
It was
Wish I
very
could stay longer, but it is what it is.
it was very educative.
I appreciate it as well. Like, I share my information. You can find me on The Paulette on all social media platforms. I am Motherhood in the Diaspora UK on YouTube. And I recently opened my business, Mean Howie Wigs Shop, where you can get nice wigs. That's where you're going to find me at. So let's keep on chatting. I'm active on TikTok and everywhere else. So you're welcome to email me on anything at all. I appreciate it.
For your business venture. Congratulations to your business venture.
Thank you.
Hope it's a
Thank
boom.
you so much. I appreciate it.
So I'll let you go, the Paulette.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your
See
day.
you later, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. So Keith, let's talk about the Afrexima Bank that Mr. Ruto was talking about. I saw his speech. There was a speech that he was talking about if a Kenyan want to trade with a Tanzanian, then they can trade with their local currencies. And then there's a bank that he mentioned. He called it the Afrexima Bank that will settle the payment. What is this?
Find out who owns, it's all bullshit. They're trying to make, he's like the new Gaddafi, all that other nonsense. Why does he got, if that's the truth, you would brought all the other Africans, these fake leaders, there are no real leaders in Africa anymore. They're all installed. That's why they're so bad. She was saying that the leadership is bad. It's bad on purpose. None of these people, Demore, have never come to the ranks of Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana to benefit African people. I'm gonna be real with you. They can't stand us. They can't stand the leaders in Africa can't stand African people. That's why they never developed. That's why, you know, and they, as African people, you're kind and loving. We take abuse, but most people will not. So they know that's our character. So shout out to the Kenyans that actually went to the street, but first, know what you're fighting for. Because you're going to be easily manipulated because you're not united, because you're tribal. That's why they always keep Nigeria. Nigeria, I don't know what's going to happen. Nigeria's fucked up. It's going to be. It's not. They've already got the CBDCs there. Those are owned by the Rothschilds. They last year decided that they were going to make sure that the Nigerians did not use Bitcoin. Oh, it supports terrorism, criminalized all lies. They wanted to make sure that they went to Nigerian digital currency, which the Nigerians do not own or control, just like they oil. The Rothschilds and Rockefellers own it. So now you got the Nigerians who were forced through starvation to accept the CBDC. What that is a slavery system that would never allow you to save. It's going to make sure you can only shop where you want to shop. I mean, where they want you to shop. It's the fake carbon credit, the fake global warming that does not exist. You hear one of these fake puppet Africans all say, we got to stop the climate change. The climate change and global warming. It's all a lie. Why haven't you as an African, since you're a sovereign country supposedly, why haven't you got your own scientists to do research and development and say, okay, the Europeans are saying this, they lie all the time. Let's get our own scientists who are independent to actually study if this is real. And if not one African country's done this, you're supposed to be an adult. Why don't you have your own scientists study what the Europeans tell you? I'm gonna tell you it's a lie. Shout out to Robert F. Kennedy, nephew of President Kennedy, who they assassinated, and they killed his daddy when he was running for president because they knew who ran the system. They were both murdered. He told you climate change is a fraud, it's a phony, a hoax. For the people that control the banks, to get control of the world. It's a lie. So,
and this week, apart from the demonstrations, we had the president of Iran touring Kenya, and he's not the first. We've seen so many presidents from the West, actually, and from all over coming to Kenya, to Africa. He was in Uganda yesterday.
African general. Yeah, African general. And oh, my 70, but oh, my 70, oh my God. That's how you know. So, my 70 is a blaming, is a walk around functional idiot. It's so angering. He did an interview, and yeah, there's a Kenyan. What's that dude? This new guy in channel. Somebody in Kenya, little guy said, look at Miss 70 teach the talk to the Arabs. What? Are you stupid? Are you? What's that guy's name? That new guy's channel. Somebody in Kenya. It's oh my God! Oh my God. So you have the 70 been interviewed by, I think he's in Qatar somewhere, and they ask him, why have you been there 35 years? Why is your country impoverished? No, it's not impoverished. It's not impoverished. Your country is impoverished. You've been there 35 years, and understand the white people put this moron in power. They keep him and Gaddafi in power. They put both these morons in power. So they can steal from the Congo. Because the thing was to break up the Congo into 5 countries divided again so they can have easily stealing. So they can pit parts of the Congo against each other like they do. So Bruto, if he was real, any of these puppets were real, they're not. The Africans have been left so ignorant that they don't understand geopolitics. That's on purpose.
The other day he was in France, and he was talking to Macron, and he was saying that we need to extend our debt repayment policy to be given a 20-year grace period before we start repaying debts from the West.
And it sounds crazy as cat shit, because all that money's talking about the politicians in Kenya and Nigeria, they stole it. They didn't go to the people. It make their lives better. They stole most of it, like we were doing the show. Samir Suluhu. All right. When the Europeans set up Africa, it's all corrupt from top to bottom. That's why you got police don't want to do their job. You must give me tea, give me bribe. Everywhere you go. Okay, so it doesn't work. So Samir Suluhu, because the Africans said, why don't the leaders hire us to do the work? Because why hire Chinese people and other people to do the roads? You have engineers. Why hire them? Because they said they can't trust you. And want to blame you for the system that they create. They say you're unworthy. You don't come to work on time. You steal off the sites. You steal shit. If people do give you money, you leave, don't come back. But that's what Samir Suluhu, that's what they all were saying though. But that's what she was saying down in Tanzania, because she was hiring a Chinese firm to build out one of the ports in Tanzania. They said, why are you not hiring us? Because I can't trust you. But so they want to blame the people for the system of corruption that they set up from its inception. Jomo Kenyatta was corrupt as fuck. The first leader of Nigeria corrupt as fuck. First leader of Ghana, well, Kwame wasn't corrupt as fuck. They got rid of him. All these leaders when they first go ahead.
We have a certain leader in Kenya. He's called Jimmy Wanjigi. And the other day he was on live national television and he spoke of some things that shocked Kenyans. You know the SGR. You have a railway called the SGR.
Yeah, that messed up over budget railway that's 20 years, 30 years old. The technology is like 20, 30 years old, and you're paying 5 times the cost.
Yeah, so Wanjigi was saying actually the SGR was not built on debt. It was built using Kenyan money. So in Africa, debt repayment is actually business, because if you ask the government to actually provide records for the debt statement, they can't.
They can't. Yeah. They can't because ask yourself the more. How can a train system that's 30 years behind in technology cost what it costs? It doesn't. Those people stole the money from the hoodoo, whoever involved in it stole that money. So they make sure Kenyans are not politically efficient to know what's going on, how the country's governed. The country, I'm gonna hurt some people, I'm gonna break your heart. Kenya is a fiefdom of corrupt gangsters. Well, it was set up, not just Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, Angola, Cote d'Ivoire, all of it. So, until the African gets a real education and understand what's going on, you're not going to be able to overturn it because you believe he's my dear leader. Look at the propaganda. Ruto's fighting against the European. He's not. That's a lie. That's for your goopy consumption because they know you're childlike. No.
Steve Ochieng is saying in the comments, BRICS and the West is the same.
Exactly. Thank you. Somebody knows. Exactly. But the kid, exactly. You think he's loud? He's now be loud. He's allowed. Name what? Okay, tomorrow. Let me give you a question. You see, you're a bright young man. Let me pose you a question. Okay, you're an African man. Get rid of all the goofy tribalism. You should know we're the same people. Okay. You got all of North Africa, tomorrow. North Africa. You say you're a leader now, but you're a leader of a country. I want to know your solution. You see African men, women, and children being put in slavery today in Libya, Algeria, and parts of Morocco. What do you do as an African leader?
Come again with the question, Chief.
Okay, I'm gonna ask it again slowly. Okay, you're now a leader, Amora. You're a leader in Kenya. Okay, you're the leader, and you look to the northern part of Africa, happening today.
The slavery in Morocco,
Libya, Algeria. You have black men, women, and children who are forced into slavery today. Now, I'm gonna tell you.
As a leader, if I was the president of Kenya and such a thing happened, I would actually speak out.
Yeah.
Because
you would not speak up, you would get other African countries say that's war.
Yeah, because as you said, Africa is the same. We are the same. Fuck the tribes. We are the same.
Just about what you would do, Demore, because look, you're not gonna find any people in North Africa enslaving Chinese people, Japanese people, European people. You know why? Because that's an act of war. They know they would be, there'd be war. African people, they know they can do it too, because you're ununified, you consider yourself weak, you're scared of everything. Where's Jesus at? Say those Africans, huh? Where's Muhammad? All these morons practicing that other fake religion. Those are the Mohammedans who are enslaving their ass. What aren't they friends? Where was all these people that aren't you brothers in Islam? What, they enslaving African people? What you don't feel there's no problem with that? Just like go get your Quran that they're enslaving other African people. Not only that they enslave them, they organ harvest them right now as we speak. But you're no African leader, not one mentioned it, not one. Not a 70, not a Ruto, not that goopy nigga they just installed in Nigeria. That moron.
That old
Not-
man.
Yeah, not old goopy ass. He's well spoken. Kofi Anada, whatever the fuck his name, but Kofi Anada Doodoo over there. God, that corrupt ass nigga. Yeah.
And talking of
Go ahead.
Nigeria, Bill Gates was there the other day, by the way.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Not Bill Gates is just the front man. He's not the power. He's what you call a puppet for the people that run the world. So you need to start learning about the. But Africans say, "Oh, Bill Gates. Bill Gates is a moron." His family was a flunky family of the Rockefeller family. You talking about the actual richest people on the planet that run this planet. People that own these banks that create money from nothing. These motherfuckers. So Bill Gates has been a front man because power, Demore, always works behind the scenes. You don't want power is a hidden hand. If you know who I am, you'll try to stop me. That's why you didn't know what BRICS was. It's hidden. You don't know it's the same system. It's hidden from you. You know, I'm not coming out to tell you.
It's a smoke screen.
Yeah. So I'm not coming out telling you, what the hell's going on, because at the end of the day, as African people, you giving a whole lie. You were never poor. No missionaries came to help you. Couldn't help you out your wealth. They never came to help you as a people. How do you help rich people? Now, before Europeans came as Africans, you were all wealthy. That's just a fact. It's a historical fact. Now you're all poor. Now you believe this fake man named Solomon was the richest man who ever lived, is in your goofy Bible. But everybody knows the world that Mansa Musa was the richest man that ever lived. That's a historical fact. But you believe your lies and your craziness. You say you don't want to get out of it. You'll fight me tooth and nail over real history for your fake history that the Europeans gave you. The only way, as African people, you will right. Africa's always been the future, always. The thing is, can you capture it again? The wealth is in Africa. You have all the wealth. It's not just yes, it's mineral wealth, but have you turned the mineral wealth and added value to that wealth? Do you control the minerals? No, you do not. Because these despots are all controlled. Makes it a European, like we know the biggest tea farm, coffee farm is in Kenya.
Yeah.
Don't know Kenyans on that. Europeans came and stole that. They came to help you by stealing your tea and your coffee, right? They came to steal. Is Paulette back?
Yeah, Paulette is back.
Wow. Okay. I got she gone. But so who came to steal your coffee and your tea farms and leave you poverty as working them? They pay them people little to nothing, but they make billions of dollars off some shit they stole from Kenya, right? So it's not just, it's all over Africa. So that's just one part of your resources everywhere. It's all throughout the continent. So when you got the narrative of not knowing that these people have always been our enemies, and the reason why you got Iran coming in is because it's a new scramble. They know that it's going to be a new economic system. So everybody's like, oh shit, I want to get my piece of the pie. I want my piece of heaven, Deborah, which is Africa. I want my piece. At the expense of these goopy Negroes that we've installed and to be on the back of the real Africa. So Africans know who they are, what they are, that people are going to completely dominate you. That's why people don't feel threatened by having slavery in Africa. That's an act of war. It's African country, you're supposed to unite and go to war and stop that shit because it makes you. Go ahead.
I have a question, and there are actually several questions that we were supposed to cover last week, but you are unavailable.
Okay, yeah, I was going to. I lost you guys. Too damn quick. I was going through the back because I had no internet. By the time I came out, they got internet. You guys were wrapping up the show. Said this is a great show. Tomorrow, goodbye. I was like, damn. Go ahead.
So the first one is the poet talked about our artifacts in the London Museum, and there are so many of them. Why can't we reclaim them? Is there a way that we can reclaim our artifacts?
No, not to get power. You're too weak. These despots ain't gonna do it. You're too weak to understand power. They gave the Chinese back theirs. The Chinese, they created China as a power anyway. They created that, but they haven't get back. When you get Europeans are thieves and robbers. They don't and understand this. The more you gotta understand, you gotta get out of your feelings. I gotta be brutal. Power only respects power. Power doesn't respect weakness, and you got to see. Africans gotta start knowing real shit. Power doesn't respect. I don't respect you. You're weak. Till you acquire power, power means you can make them do it. Then you can make them. So let's say power. Okay, let's define power in this scenario. Okay, so for years the Japanese, when the Europeans were trying to colonize the Japanese with the Gupi religion and all that shit, they came in. The Portuguese first came in the 1600s, right? And so the emperors let a few men. He started to, hey, you people are fucked up, learn this Jesus. The emperor said, whoa, Jack, they're changing society with this shit. God is worshiping these people. So they said, nah, no more of this. If you want to trade with us, because remember, Christianity uses soft power to come in and take your people's minds over soft power. Then they'll turn against their leaders. So anyway, he said, okay, no, this is out of control. He said, you want to trade with us, you'll be up a small island in Japan. We'll trade with them, but you're not allowed to come onto the island of Japan. If you find any of you here, we're going to kill you on sight. It's murder on sight. We're executing. So for years, the West was not strong enough to go into Japan. They went. Japan was too strong, power, right? Too much power. So in the 1850s, the European started when America had acquired enough power to more, enough power. They didn't go ask because they now come in Japan. They came in with power. Say, hey, you bastards are now going to open up this country to us. And Japan's like, whoa! They feel like, whoa! They're like, they're like, whoa! They're like, whoa! They felt because they couldn't stop it no more. So they had to play, but like, whoa, shit! Damn, they got us. They got us with our pants down. They got damn European took 200 years, but he got our ass. He's more powerful than us now. So the Japanese had to capitulate for what they did to Mori. It's okay. We're gonna bow and scrape. We're gonna bow and scrape. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, European. Yes. We're gonna pretend, because they're too powerful for us now. So what the Japanese did, which is amazing. Everybody talks about this. It's amazing. Within a generation, Japanese. Okay. I'm gonna take my people to your schools, learn what you know, bring them back, and we're gonna build a real military. And you can look this up. Well, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So anyway, in a generation, maybe two, yeah, from 1950 to 19, that's two generations. By 2 generations, Japan became a world power. So you weren't gonna talk to me crazy no more, because they had built themselves into a power. They went back and learned how they built these ships, how they built their military. They learned it. They went back and learned it. They were quiet. 20 years, for 40 years, Japan was quiet. White people busting them in their head, talking shit to them, talking all. And 1900, let me show you this real quick. Let me do this real quick. Let's do this. Let's say, the Sino-Russian War. of 1900s.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go. Let me do this for you. Okay. Let's see what this is. Okay, let me go here. But it's called the Japanese. It's called the Japanese. The Japanese-Russian War of the early 1900s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me show this. Okay, let me share my screen.
All right.
Put this on the Russo. Let me share my screen real quick. So we know. So this is in a generation where the white man was knocking the Japanese in the head. By 1905, I told you they came in 1850. In 50 years, Japan is now saying, we're going to control all of Asia now.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, the Europeans controlled Asia. The British controlled China. The Dutch controlled Indonesia, what you call Singapore. The French controlled what you call Vietnam and all that shit. The Japanese said, we're going to control all that shit. All of it. The Europeans, we're going to go to war. They start whipping their ass. We're going to, Japan will control this now. They say, okay. So let me show this. Let me share my screen. So understand, only power respects power, Demore. Power does not respect weakness. Let me know if I'm going over your time. You guys, you need to change over. Let me know when it's time to get you off here. So anyway,
Joby,
let me know if you got.
Joby's telling me I have 10 minutes.
All right, Joby, calm down.
We in the house.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so right here, because it's called the the Russo-Japanese War.
Mm-hmm.
Sino, I got it right. Yeah, the Sino, that knows, right? Japanese-Russian War. So about here you got now Japanese becoming a power, now threatening all European powers. Japan is saying, so it says the Emperor of Japan and the Russian Empire during 1904-1994 over rival imperial ambitions. Yeah, it meant sure because the Japanese took over China too.
Mm-hmm.
And the finding that China's now power, that's because the Europeans propped up China. Japan became a real power by itself and controlled what you call Manchuria, which is China, and Korea. So the major theaters of military operations were in the Liaodong Peninsula and Mukden in southern Manchuria, which is China, and the Yellow Sea and the Sea of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna read all that because we only got 10 minutes. But let me get out of it. What I'm just saying is, the Japanese in 2 generations said, okay, fuck that, they got our ass. Oh, this white man got us. Oh shit, we're fucked up, man. Because they would get smacked in the head. Yeah, white people all in Tokyo telling Japanese what to do. You're gonna let Jesus up in here. That made, yeah, telling you. I lived in Japan. Tell you what I noticed that was humiliating to them to make them. They had to start building churches. Power. They told them, we don't want your churches here. So what? You do what the fuck you're told to do. So yeah.
So kid,
go ahead.
Joby is almost kicking me out now.
Alright, Joby, calm down. We got.
Joby has ganged up with HR in the studio and they're harassing me.
No, we got 5 minutes. It's. Don't we got the bottom of the hour? It's like something 25 over there. Don't we got the bottom of the hour?
No, we don't.
And then there's something there's something that I want us to look at next time when if possible, if you could join us next weekend from 1:30. There's something that I want us to look at.
This is where I'm at. Go ahead.
There's something called eugenics, and not many people understand eugenics. And I was actually reading.
They do. I want to talk to them. I want to talk. Who you think exactly? Who you think runs this planet? The eugenicists, Demore. The eugenicists. What do you think that Big Ugali shot was about?
Mm-hmm.
Big Ugali. I just call that's my code word for the you know what, the 19. Because you couldn't say it on YouTube. I lost to make sure that's the Big Ugali.
Mm-hmm.
They are all eugenicists, Demore. So when you talk about age,
I was reading a certain article by an Italian criminologist. He's called Lombroso. I know you know him, Cesare Lombroso.
mm-hmm.
And he was talking about, he talked about how criminals have, as you can identify criminals from their physical attributes.
Physical traits.
And if you look at the physical traits that he labeled in his research, most of them are black, as in they are affiliated to black people. In short, in short, his research was almost indicating that black people are born criminals.
But that was a lie. You're talking about European bias. See, that's what I told you.
Yeah, it's an
That's what-
Italian
that's what-
criminologist.
Yeah, but that's not, no, he's a racist. He's a racist, no good, dirty cracker. He's not criminal. You call it whatever you want to call it. That's the title he's giving it.
He's a
That's lie.
racist,
That's
he's
what-
a criminal.
Yeah, he's telling you nonsense. He's telling you nonsense because the African one out there raping and stealing and killing people and stealing their land. The African, your history, son, has been about raising up people, humanizing people, educating people. That's been the African history. You've been to other countries, educated people. You didn't rape them. You didn't steal their lands. You didn't try to indoctrinate them with lies. That's the European who's inherently criminal.
So
how can you be criminal, Demore, and they stolen the whole world? Make it make sense. You're not the one. They're not worshiping no black Jesus, no black Allah in Europe and in Arabia. You worshiping them. So how the hell are you the thief?
So Keith,
You're not.
we are going to look at that topic next week. We are going to talk about eugenics because not many people in Kenya understand eugenics. So I really hope you join us from maybe 1:30.
How many people in Africa? How many people in Africa know? But I'm gonna say this: your ancestors knew what that shit was. I'm gonna tell you that for a fact. Your ancestors, who you hate, who the white man told you are evil, your ancestors knew who the fuck that shit is. They knew what eugenics were. You better believe they knew. I'll show you that they knew too. Man, I don't know. The more you been here, like I gotta start paying you too now. You been here, you're gonna destroy your whole world system, son. You're gonna go out here. You're gonna be getting rid of Jesus. It's not gonna be right. I don't want to. It's not gonna be right. You knowing a lot of truth. it might scare you. You might go jump out the window or something.
We are going to talk about all that truth and eugenics next week if you will join us from 1:30 p.m.
Yeah. I try to home, not in the woods. I gotta go to Texas this week, so hopefully I'm back. So here's eugenics. Oh buddy, you guys know what eugenics are? It's gonna blow your mind. You're gonna know how wicked. That's what the Ukrainian war is about. Not gonna say it now. Eugenics. Talking that stupid shit about Russians invading Ukraine. That ain't it at all. About eugenics, what you just said. And anybody black, you know what eugenics are, you really know what it is. You know what time it is and what it means. Now these Africans all over the continent have been put in medical situations that I cannot talk about. Anyway, what's love, family?
Hey, what's good, big homie?
Keith, that is HR.
What do you say? What they trying to say?
Nah, I'm just busting love, my nigga. What's good? What's
Tim, I
good?
like this spot. His studio nice. You keep Job in there as a cook slave.
You feel me? That's what's up.
It's nice. I like, man, that place is nice. He told he don't got no shorty. You know what? Over here had a little shorty.
You're gonna fuck around and get cut.
So Keith,
I'm sorry. It's my fault for Joey get the holler and screaming at my face.
Keith,
I'll talk to you later, man.
Alright, bro.
so Keith, I'll catch you next week on.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we are coming to the end of the show. It's been amazing. I hope you've learned a thing or two about traveling abroad, why you should travel and why you should not. The Paulette talked about something very important. She said, if you really don't have to go, don't go. It's not really necessary.
She was Kenyan being nice. You know her life is fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. Her life was fucked up, and then somebody said it's kind of lonely, and you do this. She told us you work all the time, but do you have time to actually? You don't make enough money to spend to give it back to the people in Kenya because the bills the bills are so high. The bills are so high. So I'm saying you go into a hostile environment, like I said, most Africans most Africans have experienced real racism. You go there with your Bible beliefs. Oh, they like the missionary. And then when you get there and you get out the plane, hey, you dirty nigga, Go back to Africa, nigga. Fuck are you doing? This what you hit, Jamari. I'm giving it to you with no cut. You rock. What you doing here, dirty nigga? Why don't you fix your... I wish Joby had that video of that Nigerian begging in Canada. He said, please, brother, help me. Can you give me some money? He said, what's wrong with you, damn African? What's wrong? Why you leave your country? He said, because the government is bad. Why can't you fix your own shit? We don't want your ass here, and I'm not your goddamn brother. Damn. you get that brutal wake up the more you know, so what's up? You know, they don't like us the more. They want to steal and rob from us. Yes, they want you to worship them with their fake religion because that keeps you giving your resources to them. When Jamar, you're not gonna fight. I'm gonna keep it honest. This is psychological. While you studying, you just study psychology. You're not gonna fight what you worship, Jamar. You're not gonna fight. The only thing they gave you, wait till they put the religion, they forced it on you. You're not gonna fight what you worship. You're not going to fight that. You're going to reveal it, respect it, and adhere to keeping it on the top. So you got until the Africans can change that mindset, you worship your enemy. That's on purpose. You know white people are treated better in Africa when you see, you know this. Why? Why the fuck would you treat somebody white better than you treat your own people, your own African? Because you're colonized in the mind. You're not going to fight what you love. They know that. So it works in their benefit. Yeah. But anyway, much love. Let me get out because Joey gonna go crazy.
Man.
I'm about to.
You should see her. You should see her face right now.
I'm done.
Alright. So this has been the diary of a young black king, and this has been the Black Hot Fire Radio, the Black Hot Fire Network, the media of the 21st century. There are more shows on the way. HR is in the building, and there will be another show after HRs, and there is actually a show every day, every 6 days a week, from the morning up to the evening. So see you next week. I'll see you on Wednesday, ndani ya Tubonge as we bonga, and I'll also see you on Saturday. On Saturday we'll be having Mr. Black Hot Fire, and we'll be talking about eugenics and psychology, and why you should not think you are inferior, how you should not be affected by white supremacy, because so many of us are actually affected by white supremacy. So make sure to catch me next week, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's been a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen.